Illegal border crossings are at an unprecedented record low under President Trump, with border encounters at just over 30,000, down more than 75% from this time last year. Daily apprehensions at the southwest border are 95% lower than during the Biden administration. But far-left Texas Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett is crying foul.
I will acknowledge that what is being reported is that border encounters are lower. I will also say that we know that this administration has not been the most honest when it comes to reporting numbers, as we know that there's now reporting that they've not been honest about the jobs numbers. What I can tell you is that he has invoked a very inhumane way of carrying out immigration. What I also can tell you is that he has not worked through the Congress, and that's what we need, is comprehensive immigration reform.
Fox News contributor Jason Chaffetz joining us.
Hey guys, welcome to the video. This is Justin Paul. So we just got a small clip here on Fox News of Jasmine Crockett questioning the record low border numbers that have been released from the U.S. Border Customs and Patrol. You know, of course, I feel like that's going to be the arc that she's going to go with, being that, you know, she's, you know, making her run, and she wants to definitely stay in the news, and of course she's going to be doing interviews all year pretty much, and you know, she's definitely, you know, on the opposite end of this current administration. But not saying that the numbers are true, but if they are true, it's just excellent. You know, record low numbers for illegal border crossings, and you know, you have people who are, you know, being found to be here illegally that are being deported. Some of the ways that they have to go about doing these deportations, a lot of people are seeing them as inhumane. But I do feel like it's a very, very tough job. And, you know, at every step that they take, they have opposition and protesters and people who are there to disrupt and prevent them from doing their job. So I could see it being very hectic out there in the field for the, you know, for those agents that are actually on the ground doing the actual work. You know, as she was saying, she believes that the administration should, you know, do more of going through Congress and things like that. And you know, with that, you know, sometimes it takes a while for stuff to pass through Congress, and I don't think we really have the time to kind of wait for those type of things to happen in, you know, certain situations. I feel like we have to go ahead and, you know, get the bad actors out of the United States. Now, there are stories of people who are not necessarily bad actors. They just, you know, caught up in this whole process, and I do feel like those people should, you know, get an expedited like hearing, or their case should be looked at very quickly to get them out of like detainment and back to their families. You know, it's stories of you know, women and men who were detained and shouldn't have been detained if you kind of carefully look at their case and stuff like that. For minor stuff like, you know, cashing checks that are, you know, less than $100 and something like that. Just little stuff like that that can, you know, be rectified and fixed very quickly. And you know, if these numbers are true, again, I do applaud the administration for record low border crossings, and just trying to keep us as safe as possible. You know, because we have to understand that with all the people who, you know, come into the country, they're going to sneak people who, you know, wish us harm and wish to do American citizens harm. They're going to sneak them in right along with them, as, you know, well as like, you know, drugs and all kind of other stuff that's just really not good for us, man. No matter how, you know, much fun people have getting high and all that kind of stuff, a lot of that stuff just isn't good for us, and it really doesn't lead to a productive society.
Now, Merry Christmas Jason. Thanks for joining us. And I am
Merry
going
Christmas.
to keep my cheery Christmas spirit and not lose my ever-living mind when I hear Jasmine Crockett say that the numbers are not what they seem, because I lived it. I spent years at the border, thousands coming across. This is by far the most secure border that we have had in the history of the country. We have not released a single illegal alien that crossed the border into the country for 7 straight months, and yet she wants to challenge the numbers. What do you make of it?
Stupid knows no holiday. I love this holiday. It's one of the best, but this is one of the dumbest people ever to serve in the Congress. And to suggest that the numbers are anything other, she needs more proof of that. Of course, she doesn't have that. President Trump took the mandate from the American people, secured the border. It is more secure than it has ever been before, and he's going to continue to do it. Don't tell us that you need, comprehensive immigration reform. I was in the House of Representatives, and you know what? The Democrats had the House, the Senate, and the presidency. Did they even introduce a piece of legislation? No, they did not, let alone pass anything. So you can cry me those crocodile tears, but that is not the reality of what happened. And if she's got a bill, introduce it. But you know what? We got to lock down that border, get rid of the rewards and incentives, say no to amnesty. All of these things Donald Trump is doing. That's why he got elected. And that's why she's just going to be somebody on YouTube once upon a time. Nothing more.
You're so right. It's the mandate that the American people voted for. You know, on the one hand, Jason, it's offensive to the men and women in green of the Border Patrol that have secured and continue to keep this border secure, and the ICE agents, the men and women in blue in the interior, removing violent criminal aliens at a record pace. But then when she leans into comprehensive immigration reform, it takes us back to when the previous administration, President Biden, DHS Secretary Mayorkas, telling us that there's nothing to see here. There's no crisis at the border, while we watched it unfold right before our eyes in real time. And the President Biden saying that he couldn't do any more. There was nothing more he could do. He needed Congress to act. Turns out that was wrong. President Trump did it without any legislation.
Yeah, we just needed a president in President Trump, and we needed leadership to actually get it done. I remember when Kamala Harris, went down to Central America and she said, it's climate change that's causing all this. No, it's because you were giving out free health care, free education, all sorts of bennies to be here illegally. And now we got a mess on our hands because we got tens of millions of people. It's still illegal to be here illegally. So you got to if you came here illegally, you got to leave.
I agree. And it's like bad wherever, people are migrating from, when you're willing to take yourself over barbed wire fences. You're not worrying about getting cut. You're not worrying about getting injured. The most you want to do is to go ahead and get over here into America, to where, like they're saying, you get free health care, and you're able to get free education, and you're able to live like a much better life than you would, in the country that you were born in. So, it's just one of those things. Again, she's making a run, thinking for U.S. Senate, if I'm not mistaken, because I did a video on that. But again, I feel like Jasmine Crockett is going to say what she needs to say to keep her name in the headlines, because any publicity is good publicity, no matter whether it's positive or negative. And it's just really one of those things. It's political seasons are going to start kicking off rampant here, and people are just going to really just be saying anything to try to get their base riled up and try to bring in support from people who believe in the same thing that they believe in.
That's what we call restitution in this country. And Democrats may not like, we need comprehensive immigration reform. No, we're going to enforce the current law in the books.
Yeah.
That's the law of the land. And don't do these sanctuary cities. When you're protecting that party, the Democratic Party, and Jasmine Crockett helping to lead it, they do more to protect the perpetrators of crime than the victims of crime, and America knows that.
It's crazy. She's going to have a hard time defending those comments. Meanwhile, I want to shift gears.
Yeah, so, we got to look at it as a majority type of thing. The majority of people don't want to have to look over their back or be victim to any violence and stuff like that from, anyone in the country, let alone anyone who's not supposed to be here. And, those who are not supposed to be here are more likely to do stuff, against the law because they're not operating under the law. They more than likely, hardly understand the laws because they're just not getting here. And, even me as a U.S. citizen, man, I would be lying to you if I say I knew every law of the United States. So just imagine someone who wasn't born here, who isn't, supposed to be here. They're coming here and trying to act, or living completely lawless, and they're not going to have your best interest as far as being a U.S. citizen. Because just to be honest, man, we're one of the most hated countries in the world. But that was just a reaction there to Jasmine Crockett ripping the low numbers during Trump's administration for border crossings. And these two gentlemen here, Fox News may not like what they have their anchors and commentators who may not like what Jasmine Crockett is talking about. So don't really want it to be one sided, but it's obvious that again, she's trying to gain a whole bunch of support for her run. And she feels like the way to go about it is to be against what the administration is for. So we'll see how that works out for her. Again, if you like my content, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe to my YouTube. This is Justin Paul. Peace.